A corruption scandal involving $500 billion pesos in public funds was exposed just before the national economy entered a sharp deceleration. Looking at this line chart plotting Philippine gross domestic product, or GDP, the symptom is clear. In the first quarter of 2026, economic growth hit a post-pandemic low, terminating at just 2.8%. This collapse led the International Monetary Fund to officially downgrade the country's growth outlook, citing governance concerns and a loss of investor confidence. These domestic issues coincided with the 2026 Iran war, which choked off global oil supplies. The resulting energy crisis triggered nationwide transport strikes and added to the financial pressure on regular Filipino citizens. This 2.8% growth rate reflects a convergence of factors, starting with the total paralysis of the country's internal infrastructure programs. Between 2022 and 2025, the government allocated 545.6 billion pesos, specifically for national flood control. This proportional area chart shows the bulk of those funds funneled into two dominant nodes: firms controlled by the Diskaya and Co families, who monopolized billions from this budget. These contractors billed the public for ghost projects that existed only on paper. When storms hit, the missing infrastructure left millions of citizens vulnerable to devastating floods. Investigators also uncovered a road reblocking scam, where contractors systematically demolished functional concrete roads simply to generate new billing claims for rebuilding them. Infrastructure spending, intended to be a driver of national development, had been turned into a machine for systemic plunder. To understand the impact, think of the Philippine economy as a motorized tricycle. Government infrastructure spending acts as the fuel that keeps the engine running. As the scale of the DPWH scandal became clear, the government suspended all roadworks and implemented aggressive billing validations to prevent further losses. This comparative bar chart illustrates the fallout. In the first quarter of 2026, infrastructure spending fell by 43.5% to 147.8 billion pesos. Secondary effects quickly spread. Construction sites went quiet, jobs disappeared, and capital stopped moving through the working class. Surging global fuel costs collided with this domestic freeze on public work spending, removing the primary drivers of economic activity. The government's attempt to halt the theft by freezing public funds ultimately suffocated the very economic momentum it was trying to protect. By early 2026, economic pressure led to physical, nationwide demonstrations. Public anger over the missing funds moved from the internet directly into the streets. This resulted in the Trillion Peso March, where tens of thousands of citizens converged on historical landmarks like Luneta Park to demand accountability. At the EDSA Shrine, a coalition of students, workers, and religious leaders united to demand transparency and the return of stolen public wealth. The institutional reckoning followed quickly, with the Anti-Money Laundering Council freezing over 20 billion pesos in assets and the government terminating hundreds of non-performing contracts. The 545 billion peso scandal left the treasury crippled, growth targets missed, and a public demand for a completely new standard of government accountability. Does the current wave of resignations and frozen assets provide enough accountability, or do you believe strict criminal prosecution is necessary to rebuild public trust? Tell us what you think in the comments. If you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe and share this video to help others understand the scale of this crisis.